What is going on YouTube? I'm the Jedi Ranger, and I'm here to give you guys some fairly easy guitar lessons. Ignore the kind of big mess behind me. I'm a little new to this, as you can tell. My green screen's over there, but I'm not set up to record over there yet. This is my guitar lesson channel. So I'm going to show you. This is episode 0 technically, but it'll be labeled as episode 1. Here's the first problems that I notice most beginners have with guitar. So I started playing guitar probably 6 years ago now, and I really started getting into it as of summer of 2024. This guitar is not great. It's very cheap, but it looks pretty nice for being technically free. This one was given to me. Sorry. So, the first thing I notice a lot of beginners get wrong is the fretboard. You don't push on the frets, you push behind them. So if I were to say form an E chord, so super easy E chord, you don't really need to see how it works right now. Even though I'm a little bit out of tune, which doesn't help, that would not sound as good as if I pushed on the frets. Plus it would feel a lot worse. So this is me attempting to push on the fret, even though it's a lot harder to push on the fret. Can you hear how buzzy that is, and kind of how out of tune it is? It's because you don't press on the fret, you press behind it. See, up here at the 12th fret, that's super sharp. So yeah. That's rule number 1 of guitar. When you pick it up, you don't press on the fret, you press behind it. Okay. The second thing, not everybody likes to use these, but I do. The pick. I recommend beginners do not start with thin picks, for sure. I'm not saying you need to start with the pick gauge I like to use, which is, in this case, these are 2mm Ernie Ball Prodigy picks. That's what I really like to use. But you don't have to go that thick. I like thick picks. You can see how thick that one is. This one's a lot thinner. This one is thinner than that even. And this still isn't that bendy. You see that? If I hold it up to the camera here, it flexes. This one doesn't flex, really. This one flexes a lot more though. So it's all down to material with picks, and all down to thickness. I would not recommend going all the way up to a 2mm pick right immediately, unless you got really big hands and you really think that these are not quite for you. What I would recommend, honestly, is going to your local music store and asking if you can try out some of their picks. And just say that you're a beginner and that you've never really played guitar a whole lot before. So, before you do that, I'm going to teach you a couple of easy chords just to try it out in the next video. But, I'm going to just show you the difference here. This is that same E chord, one of the easiest chords. Here, I'll make it an E minor even. Make it a little bit easier for you guys to play it two fingers. You You can hear how much more mellowed out that is, but when I add the pick, it adds a lot more aggression. And the thicker the pick, typically, the more aggressive it's going to sound. But with a thicker pick, if you pick softer, it's still gonna make that pick scratch sound because it's not like as meaty as your thumb. The one last thing is, if you are a beginner but you can hold a pick and you already have some that you like, the last thing is picking technique. We're not doing any fancy like arpeggiated stuff yet, but when it comes down to picking, you take the pick. I like to hold mine like this between my thumb and my finger. That's how I like mine. But you take that, and instead of going flat against a string, you want to curve it slightly. So turn your wrist just a little bit. Instead of going from like super flat, you want to turn it just slightly. And that way, you can hear how buzzy my instrument is. Let me show you a different guitar, which actually has nylon strings on it. And that will actually be episode 2. Well, technically episode 3. This is episode 0, but it's going to be episode 1. This is my first electric guitar. As you can probably tell, it's hard to see the strings on it. Half of them are clear because they're nylon, and the other half are also nylon, but they're wound. So nylon has a very different sound. I'll play you that same E minor chord. And that's with the pick, as opposed to this steel string, which is louder for sure. It's also already more aggressive. The other few tips and tricks that you should really know about are which guitar, like type of guitar, you're going to pick up on your first go. So I actually do not recommend starting with an acoustic guitar unless you're dead set on doing that, or if you already have an acoustic guitar, you don't have to go out and buy an electric. What I would recommend personally, just from personal experience, is going out and finding just a fairly cheap electric guitar. I think Squier still makes fairly good ones for about, I want to say $100-200, which are not bad. Yeah, I think that'll work. But yeah, I would not recommend starting on acoustic, but here's why. Acoustic strings typically tend to feel like they have more tension because the scale length can sometimes be shorter or sometimes be longer. Both can add a similar feel of tension, which makes it a little bit harder to play. But the other thing is action can also be a little bit higher. And action, for hopefully all of you that don't know, or some of you that do know just don't know how to play guitar, the action is how far off of the fretboard, which is the thing with all the metal lines on it. That's called the fretboard. Usually it's a darker piece of wood. It could also be a lighter piece of wood or like a mapley kind of look. Where was I going with it? Fretboard. Oh, right. Action. So the action is how far off the fretboard, or like how far away the strings are from the fretboard. Anyway, I'm kind of new to this whole teaching thing, but I think this should be that video, so that's weird. I think someone's running a dirt bike outside my house, or maybe a four-wheeler or quad. Where was I? Ah, yes. I just want to say thanks for watching. Continue to stick with guitar. These will be some beginner lessons. I don't know how many I'll do. But the most important part is to take the first step and to stick with it. Because if you stick with guitar, who knows how far you'll go. I'm the Jedi Ranger. This is my room, if you couldn't tell. And I hope I see you in the next one. Bye.